As our companies are, I can say, are friends now, and we are integrated with Easylink for quite a while now. Balázs has prepared a presentation which will talk not just about the integration, but he will talk about the challenges of website translation. So please welcome him and enjoy the session.
So I thought that the original title of the session is about integration, but quite frankly there's nothing new. So we have talked about it last year and the year before and even the year before that. But the story is that we started this in 2011, and some of our clients are with us for like 6 years. And this Tuesday we had a master class in our own office, like a pre-event to the memoQ festival. They visited Budapest, some from Ireland just for the Easylink master class, some as part of the visit for the memoQ festival. And basically during that class we just asked them and we worked together with them and tried to understand what is still a challenge for them, or what is the thing that they have learned throughout the most painful events by using Easylink, or I would rather say like as part of translating websites in general. So if you excuse me and if you are with me in this next 30 minutes, then I would like to talk about these bits. In general about website translation and a little bit about the specifics of the translation proxy that we do at Easylink. And yeah, let's start. And just one little question so that I know like how technical I shall be, or how familiar you are with Easylink. So I would like to ask you to raise a hand who has ever used Easylink. Okay, so that's 3. So then I would be even more free to talk about the website translation in general, and let's start. So basically what we have learned is whenever it comes to a website translation project and content owners or website owners approaches a translator or a translation company, then more often than not they are not very familiar with the entire process, the content they would like to translate, and the complexity of the road ahead. So what we see is that it's very important to talk about this and to help them. Because you as a translator, you as a translation company, you do have the chance to participate in multiple projects and to build up knowledge on this. And the very first one is the expected complexity, so that the client knows what to expect. And if you can just mark the website along this complexity scale, then you both know like what you are going to face in the next week, month, or a few months even so. What we see is that the typical website translation projects, the owner of the project is really someone from marketing, someone who has access to some of the resources. It's very important to get the site translated. It's usually a female around 30 years, and she doesn't care too much about the technology besides, but the time to market is very, very important to her. And basically throughout this, the company may or may not have some in-house IT resources to support this activity, but even if they have, they usually, their hands are busy and full, and they do not have full time to support this challenge or this process. So if basically they can outsource to you not just the translation itself, but anything that's related to the translation, then basically they are happy to do so, even if theoretically they could do it. So anything you can ease their work, they will be very helpful. So basically the translation of the websites, what we have categorized so far is along this scale. So the simple ones, like a very static website, which is very difficult to make these days, but it's a great tendency in terms of speed. Some has a little interactivity, like contact us form and maybe the Marketo or the HubSpot marketing automation form. But these are relatively easy to translate. And basically, if this is all what you came across, then it will be a smooth journey. The next level of challenge that you can spot, and you have to call the attention of the client to it, is the site search functionality. Because if they are translating the content to a new language, the site and the site search that is already there on the website may or may not be immediately suitable to handle this new content or this new language, or handle the grammar and stemming, and to handle this search queries as good as possible. Then to step up a little bit, and that's where more and more content is coming in, so the translation project is getting bigger, but also the complexity as well. That's the product catalog. So when you see a huge number of products, where you see a lot of more buttons, when you try to understand like how many items are there, or filters, for example, like size and color and whatsoever, even with the checkout, so an actual payment setup can be very difficult. And if you take this further, then you can expect handling like login and registration, web application, and even more so the actual e-commerce sites, including payment and checkout. So when it comes to that, then do discuss it with the client that if they cannot provide you with all the content to be translated, then you can help, you can contact us, and we are very happy to help you and them. Basically, it will be a long journey, or could be. And once the complexity with this very simple scale is established, then really these are the steps, these 10 steps or questions to ask even before you start the project. So one would just think that, hey, listen, this is my website, so just tell me a word count, tell me how much content is there, maybe do a copy paste into Word, and then just make it happen on my website. So usually the very first and important step is to establish the scope. And while EasyLink or some other tool as well can help you, grabbing everything, but more often than not, you really have to go back to your client. And you really have to ask whether they really want to translate everything. So the everything can really include, the old blog post. It can include like investor relationship or news. And if you are not careful enough, then maybe they have like some hidden content of previously translated foreign language elements. So it's very important that once you grab the list of pages that EasyLink can find on their website, to go back to them and discuss, because otherwise they might just get a heart attack when you present them like 200,000 words translating into 5 languages, and they really do not expect such big numbers. And once this is established, then you can really move on and paying attention to the repetitions, which can be extremely high in case of websites. Then you can provide them with a real number and the fuzzy match analysis and everything. The next step is that, okay, you can translate the website, now you are aware and understand the exact scope, but the question is really that, is it going to be a single source of truth, let's say in English, and they just want to get the exact same content translated to all the target languages, or maybe they want something different. They just want to have it as a master template, but after that they would like to diverse from that and author new content for new regions, for new languages. So these questions, if asked on time, then that can, make it a smoother cooperation at that point. Okay, let's say we know that as well, and then it comes to the, like publishing cycle and update strategies. So how frequently they want to put out new content? Who is going to be responsible for that? Are they going to just let you know that there is something new? Or maybe they just expect you to magically pick up this new content. If so, would they want you to just translate it automatically and just send the bill at the end of the month? Even if this is the ideal situation, you should ask what should happen to new pages. Sometimes they just want to translate the initial page set that you agreed on, maybe update those, but nothing new, nothing beyond that. Maybe they expect you just to keep all the translated pages in sync. So if they put up a new page in English, then they expect you to find that and make it available in all the target languages in an hour. And I'm not joking here, because it is very possible that they would not want to see any kind of mixed language experience. So if there is any new content coming up on the original site, one possible solution would be to translate that using machine translation, and at the same time send it out for professional human translation, or at least for post-editing to get it in shape, but still do not present the visitor with a foreign language, with a mixed language content experience. So if these questions are answered, let's get forward a little bit to the technical aspect. So some of the websites are produced by some content management system. They are very much SEO friendly, but these days there is a new tendency, especially if the cooperation of the static content and some kind of dynamic functionality is mixed within the website. So if you check or if you hear the word web application, then that usually means a lot of extra work. And then it requires more discussion with the actual development team, the tech team. And if they want your help, then with EasyLink, with a translation proxy or a JavaScript translation approach, you could still help them out there. But what's also very important is that these days, about a month ago, Google eventually switched to expecting websites to be served over HTTPS. So the previous strategy, quite a few years ago, everything was just served over HTTP, so no safe websites. And these little log icon, you would have only spotted that for e-commerce transactions and anything where money is involved. Oops. Can you help? Thanks. That was fast. But basically, what happened in the meanwhile is that Google started to expect more and more websites and announced to rank them higher if they have this SSL certificate or HTTPS in their website. And now, about a month ago, they even started to say that any website that does not have this HTTPS will be marked as unsafe. Just a little tiny block in front of the text, but it becomes more and more important. So basically the reason I'm talking about it is that if the client has it, then it's about 100% that they will want to have it for the translated website as well. So this is a good one to point out at the beginning, ask about it, and then make sure that they are aware of it. Because if it is needed, then their help will be needed, or an approval from them to make it happen and make all the translated sites appearing with the log icon as well. Now, the good part is that this Let's Encrypt, I just put it there. It's possible now to do it even for free with very little effort. But still, some websites, as you can see, this green bar, it puts a great emphasis on trust, where you can even see the corporate name. So if you see that in the original, then it will involve even more work for the translated site as well. So the next one is this site search functionality. So sometimes companies do not care about too much, so maybe don't even put it there, or just put their little search functionality but redirect it to Google, and then just let Google to find any relevant page within their own website. If this is the case, then it's great, really. But if they have anything like an internal or in-house site search, then it's important to discuss that in advance as well. So if you are using this translation proxy approach for a site search, then it will require an additional 2 to 8 hours of work to make the site search working for the translated pages as well. It does require extra knowledge. So if for example, some search engines cannot handle, as I mentioned, the stemming, or maybe they get confused if you are having some Asian languages, for example. So it's very important to discuss this at least raise the question with the client. My next slide, and we are about halfway through, is related to the SEO. So a very, very important factor on spending money and effort on localizing a website is to gain visibility, to rank higher in search engines. And this also involves a lot of black magic and hypothesis. But the important bit, and what's for sure, is that they will want to care about it, and they would want to achieve great results. So what is very important and to discuss around this scheme or this topic is how they want to get the website published. So there are at least these three possibilities that I just displayed. So it can be that they add a dedicated subdomain like fr.easylink.com. It could be also that they get like a country-specific domain for that, like easylink.fr. Or it's possible that they just decide to go for a subfolder publishing, as we call it. So it would be like easylink.com/fr. So again, with EasyLink, all three are possible, but it's only a question that the client can make, and whether or not they have a dedicated SEO expert, and depending on his belief and company policies and whatsoever, the answer can be really different. The last bit, okay, no, the hreflang magic, which turned out not to be too widely known, but this is basically telling Google and a couple of other search engines that the translated pages are kind of identical, or I would say they are about the same content. And the reason it is important to use these is, on one hand, to share some of the SEO rankings, but even more so if you think of like regional differences. So if you have like Portugal Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese, then the content will be mostly the same, of course with some regional differences. So, and Google, if Google would found that these two pages are almost identical, and they are not cross-linked or cross-referenced with this hreflang notation, then they might just decide to put some punishment on it because of content duplication. But if you mark them, or of course the client and the source system marks them properly, so each and every language version, as I just displayed on the right, so they refer to each other and they admit that it's the same content, but with one different language, maybe a regional variation of it, then the search engine will know which page to show to the visitor depending on their settings. So again, this is something that's important to discuss with the client. And last but not least, here is this Google Webmasters or Google Search Console setting. This is a very important bit these days, and Google is putting more and more emphasis there. It's where you can see, and the client can also see, how their website, how their translated website is performing. They provide a lot of data there, and also calls attention and points out errors. And one of our client original website, so the English website, got hacked. So, and it was this Google Search Console that sent a warning message and then information that this site is hacked. It has some Viagra advertisement on it, so it's advised to deal with it. So it's very important that the client registers in that had they not to. The next important topic is the Google Analytics, or some kind of analytics. It's most likely it is already implemented in their original website, but it is possible that having new content in foreign language raises some question. So the question could be, like how to configure the analytics, whether they want to collect those visiting statistics in the same Google Analytics account, or maybe in a different one. But it's possible that they know all the answer to it, but it's definitely a great help to ask these questions on time. The language selector, it's again an important bit. The very first reason for that is that it has to be implemented in the original website. So while with EasyLink and all these translation proxy and other approaches, we can help with the translation process, but it does require a little bit of involvement to touch the original website. I have 5 more minutes. The last 2 slides here, topics I want to mention is this content delivery network, or in case of the translation proxy and EasyLink, it can be called like translation delivery network, is to move the content as close as possible to the visitor. So if you have, a single web server showing the website, and then you have a client visiting, one from Japan and another one from Brazil, then it's very important that they both have a great site loading experience. Some studies shows like, adding an extra few seconds to the page load time can significantly drop the conversion and the checkout and the value of the website. Some of these functionalities or some of these content delivery networks are even free, so it's definitely worth to consider them. And last but not least is the layout issues. So as part of the translation process, more or less, you can definitely expect something to happen. So the simple or the most simple thing to expect is if you are translating from English to German, then there will be some kind of text expansion. And if it comes to effect like in the menu or the footer, then it can break the layout, and it definitely needs a little care and attention to get it right. It can be that a shorter word or an abbreviation is needed, or maybe some engineering work to fix this the layout. The more serious one is the translating from left to right languages to right to left languages, like Arabic, for example, and that can bring interesting use cases. One situation we had, this was like a paragraph of text involved like phone numbers in it, and that completely made the browser crazy. So the like a 1-800 number from the US was displayed so that the last 7 digit was displayed at the beginning of the paragraph, and the other 4 was at the very end of the paragraph. So if you tell the client in advance that it could happen, you are aware of it, and you will be able to fix it, then you can save some screaming. That was my experience. Okay, I think our time is up. So if you have any question, then it's time for that.
Well, actually, it's the first time, like almost I'm hearing about this company, and I was interested. Like, I was wondering, like you said, you're partnering with memoQ, right?
Yes,
so,
we have an
like,
integration.
I didn't understand like how it all works. So like you're not supposed to translate in EasyLink. It somehow like just catches the like. I don't know if it's possible to explain the principle of work like in a minute.
We do, maybe not in a minute, but we do have a booth out there, so I'm very happy to go into depth. But basically, in very short, in like 2 sentences, that this EasyLink is a translation proxy solution, so it can extract the content from the original website, and you can take it into memoQ for translation. With the integration, you can actually get the WYSIWYG as well, and then you upload the content back to EasyLink. And then EasyLink turns it into an up-and-running working website without ever making it back into the original content management system or the original system. This is the one sentence pitch.
But like basically, the content should be already on the original website. I mean, you don't like. I mean, you translate what is live already.
That's correct. So we need an up-and-running working, let's say, English website at the origin, and once it's done, then we can start working with that and extract that and do all the magic.
Okay.
Anyone? Yes, please.
After you now explained the obstacles of different complexities of websites, where would you say EasyLink comes in? For example, some of the stuff might be hard to tackle with a proxy solution, and that's really the question from my perspective. What clients you could explain to use this solution, and for others you'd rather say there's too much individual need, like obviously you've tackled analytics and tracking and all kinds of things. We're not quite sure if it's a solution that fits all of that. So
yeah, so basically that's why this was my first slide on this. So it can handle all, but it requires more and more work. And So usually we usually say that when they come to you, for a translation, if they can provide you with the source content to be translated, you are good. You don't need EasyLink. They give it to you, in an ideal world, you would receive it in an XLIF file. You do the translation, you pass back the XLIF, and you are good and free to go. All the responsibility is on them. However, this is usually not the case. So I would say that for the first half, it happens very frequently. It's really marketing content. So that's where this typical buyer scenario happens, and that's where they just need your help. Even if they have in-house IT, they want you to take care of everything. And then with some legacy systems, we have really seen like huge e-commerce sites that has been developed over 10 years. And then now they just want to handle somehow the internationalization without going back to day zero and develop it from scratch and go through all the bug fixing and whatever. Was it an answer?
Yeah, that's a lot, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Any more question? Okay, thank you for your attention, and we are again outside to give you the presentation.